Star Trek United, we are still all part of that same group. I am actually that's not who I am over there. I seem to have hit a little bit of a faux pas. Let's see real quick if we can do this. Oh my God.
I didn't know you turned into Marky Mark.
Yeah, I didn't know that either, but there it was. There it was. Anyway, we are part of the International Federation of Trekkers. Our chapter is called the Victory. It is a Shangri-La refit starship in in our universe. So, oh yeah, there's Rob. Should have invited Rob, shouldn't I? All right. We come together every 2 weeks or so, and we discuss Star Trek. Normally, what the commander and I do is we go over Star Trek episodes, and we started doing this. Although we didn't go in chronological order, we thought we would we start with Next Generation because of course that's the one that a lot of the fans really love this section of Star Trek. By all means, so let me put some disclaimers out there. We are not here to bash and oh this sucked and da 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 and da 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 da. We're not here to do that. Now, by that same token, we're not here to praise garbage either. Just so I'm clear, okay? But we have fun doing these things, and we talk about these episodes. We, like I said, we're revisiting these episodes, and sadly, I am not a fan of Mr. Wesley Crusher. I'm just not a fan. Uh, I know Mr. Roddenberry kind of wrote this with his ideal of him being this young genius, da 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 da, and he kind of put himself into Wesley's character, as I thought the reports were saying and everything. I personally, I didn't really kind of like his character, even when he finally hit to the movies for the wedding of for Troy and them. I still didn't care for him. I just so with that being said, here it is. Two episodes starting with a Wesley Crusher episode. Um, this is the episode. Um, a young dignitary comes aboard. Wesley is Twitter pated by her. Um, I don't know. I think the nanny is the star of the show. The nanny is the star of the show. I can't really say too much more about it. I'm going to relinquish the microphone to you, Commander, and yeah.
Okay, so I definitely agree with you when it comes to the Wesley character. I think over the series he became just a little, well, a lot annoying. So I don't know if I really remember thinking that in the beginning, but definitely as they kind of played his character a little bit more and showcased him as, you know, one of the main storylines, actually, along with Data, in my kind of opinion, I kind of grew to dislike him. Um, I watched this episode a couple of weeks ago, and I kind of found myself today, Googling the episode again, which is, means that I really wasn't a big fan of this one. I do remember the nanny, as Caleb has said. I've seen pictures of the nanny, and I guess when they talked about creatures from Star Trek, And it's funny that I don't remember what was going on in the episode, as in, the young girl. But I remember, oh yeah, that creature was in that episode. So I thought that was interesting. The creature was definitely, 100% familiar to me. But I don't know. I thought it was okay, young love. I did like the interaction between Riker and what's her name, Gaiden. When they were talking to Wesley and Tim Ford about, the relationship, between a man and the woman, and they were just glazing to each other eyes and making their cute little tension towards each other. If you ask me, and it wasn't long, a couple of minutes. That was probably for me the best part about the episode because I just thought it was just cute. They were just talking back and forth, and Wesley's like, "But," and they're like, "Just shut up," and just kept on going. So that was a really cute part of it that I like about it. You almost got to feel sorry for the girl a little bit, considering both of her parents were killed during the war. From, father was on one side, the mother was on the other. They had her, they died, and she was kind of um brought in to try to establish peace between the two sides, and you know, I kind of feel like she didn't really want to do it, but kind of made it her mission, especially the nannies. Like, hey, look, you kind of need to do this. So I kind of felt bad for the girl. She just wanted to do what explore. She was really science, and I guess going back to kings and queen days, Renaissance period. You did had a lot of didn't carries that had to be together for the cause, be together for the island, the country. So kind of felt sorry for her, but I think towards the end when she kind of was like, hey, look, this is what I got to do. I got to do it. She was able to, okay, I'm going to do this because I don't want either of these sides to destroy themselves. So, uh, I mean, overall, it was an okay episode, but that Gaiden and Riker thing was really really cute. And for like a second, when Wesley saw the girl in her true form, it was oh, compared to he was kind of upset earlier that he kind of felt like she was being deceitful to showing what she actually looked like, and I'm like, lady, you Wesley's only been on the ship for a little while. Well, the lady only been on the ship for a little while. I wouldn't show my true form either. But I'm glad he kind of thought about it and kind of forgave her for, I guess, hiding her true self. So, but overall, it was an okay episode. I really wouldn't watch it again, but other than that interaction between Riker and Gaiden.
Well, don't forget he gave her the chocolate as a parting gift. Miss Liz, your thoughts?
Well, this episode was all about Wesley and his first teenage crush, basically. And he was smitten from the minute he saw her in the hallway. And and then she was intrigued by him, and he was intrigued by her. And she got a taste of what it was like in the real world, other than her secluded upbringing with the nanny, who guarded her like a, like the the Chinese used to do with their princesses before they got concubined out to whoever they were being sent to, basically. So she really had no clue what the world was like other than what she had been exposed to. And yes, she had to do her duty, and she'd always been told she had to do her duty. And like Vonda said, she had more interests in science and other engineering and other things than what they wanted. But yeah, I liked the nanny. She was a very interesting character, and the way she threw Rolf around, oh boy, that was something else. And that little scene with Guinan and Riker really made, I think, made Wesley very uncomfortable. and and the fact that he did finally understand why she had to do what she had to do, and it took him a while to come to terms with that. And then, of course, he gave her that parting gift of the chocolate mousse or chocolate ice cream or whatever it was. It was chocolate something. and But it was an interesting episode. Uh, and every time I think about it, I think about her and the nanny and Worf going toe to toe. And she had him wrapped up. There was no doubt about that. I don't care what Worf thought. She would have wiped the floor up with him if she'd wanted to. But yeah, that was an interesting episode, and to see that Wesley could, have his first crush and survive it. And everybody's been through their first crush, and you know what that's like.
Yeah, most definitely. I think that was another thing that I did like, that every time uh, they wanted to show you how powerful something was. All right, Worf, if you could get in position, please. You know what I mean? That was the standard. We're going to show you what real power is, and you know what I mean? So, all in all, though, and I'll be honest, I think the most interesting part of that whole episode, and I have to agree with you, Xena, was that interaction between Guinan and Riker. Tell me more about my eyes, and you know what I mean, and you know what I mean. That the levity, the natural uh, smoothness of that scene, definitely the highlight of that other scene. Again, I think back then, of course, I was like, oh, I want to see Worf fight. Let's see Worf fight. Now, of course, I'm older. No, give me some real substance. You know, what I mean, a fight is a fight. You've seen 100 fights. I don't care how good it is. It's a fight. You know what I'm saying? But that a chemistry or a connection between two characters, even in mock, is still a far interesting scene to me now than, just let me show you how powerful this character is. I'm going to put him up against Worf. So,
Yeah, that was quite a repertoire going on between her and Guinan. I mean, him and Guinan, it was just, they looked like they had a blast doing it, too.
so we all agreed it is an episode that we wouldn't watch again. But I would tell you this: if I was doing a Star Trek marathon and it was on TV, I would still, I would watch, but it would be one of those things where I was, yeah, yeah. Oh, I like that scene. It's not, it's, something just to have the noise in the background is what I'm trying to say. Um, I don't know. It's just one of those things that, unfortunately, he's not one of my favorite characters, so I kind of have little interest. But again, that one scene, I would definitely, perk up and take notice for that one scene. What do we got here? The poor man's punching bag. Marky Mark had an interesting question. Do you feel that his character was added to get young boys his age to watch Star Trek, maybe see themselves in Starfleet? Um, Maybe, but I think Gene kind of wrote it because he felt like he was some type of little prodigy that, you know what I mean? And to put him on the thing that he launched years later, you know what I mean? Um, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just didn't find that character. I just felt like it was the Data and Wesley show more than anything else. And as time went on, of course, um, I grew to love Picard as a diplomat and as a talker. And I say that in the nicest sense because I've always said if I was in deliberations with somebody and I wanted to talk you to death, Picard is the one I'm going to go get. If I want something done, I'm going to go get Cisco. And if I want to do something that you're not going to expect, it's James T. Kirk. But if I want something done correctly, but might get a little messy, that's Janeway. You know what I mean? I did like Janeway's style. She was to the book, but if things had to get a little dicey, Janeway could handle it. And I really appreciated that about her. As a female captain, I don't think she kind of gets a lot of praise as far as, being who she was and what she did and how she got her crew home. Um, and there was just something about hearing her snap up her men that just was like, oh, go ahead, Miss Janeway. All right, guys, let's get into this next one. Again, we're back where we started. It's another episode of another least favorite character of mine, Data. I know there's a lot of Data fans rolling their eyes at me right now, but I'm just like, um, the Enterprise encounters the superior technology of a very ancient race of creatures, a race that creates a system malfunction for the doomed Starship Enterprise. Uh, and for an eavesdropping Romulan warbird. Um, I don't remember. I think in season 1 is when the Romulans said, "We're back." And then we saw their little crested foreheads. And I was like, what happened to the Romulans? They're changing people on me. I mean, only Klingons have this ridge. What's going on? Um, I'm not really so really good with this episode because when I look at some of these things, I always kind of wonder what was going through their heads. I mean, because there's a lot of sometimes well, we're just going to start. I think I can touch these systems. Wait, you didn't really think that something might kind of go wrong here. You're touching something that you really don't. And I get the curiosity aspect of it, but I'd like to go back to the ship without a quarantine or something going wrong instead of just start pressing buttons. I mean, we see that so much. Let me show you how strong Worf is. Worf, pick him up. Let's go. I don't know. I just at this point in my life, I kind of feel like poor Worf is the standard of strength and Mr. Worf can do this, Mr. Worf can do that. And don't get me wrong, I love the Klingon stuff, and I love Worf. He was the guy who made me want to be Klingon. But a lot of heavy lifting going on with this Klingon. As Rob said, the, the poor man used as a punching bag. But let us start with you, Miss Liz, this time. What was your thoughts on this episode?
Well, first of all, I really felt sorry for that other starship. That yes, he probably shouldn't have done what he initiated the contact or whatever, because it basically destroyed him and everybody on his ship, and then infected the Enterprise, and then they had to figure out how to save their butts, and poor Wolf, as usual, is used like a Marine, all the hefty lifting, and but they did eventually figure it all out, even though they almost got themselves eradicated along with everybody else and the Romulans. And she had a hard time convincing that young lady that they were not there for conquest or whatever. But I was just really felt bad about that poor starship captain that destroyed himself and his entire crew and his ship. That was my first thought, was when they got destroyed. And then McCord just stumbled right into the same mistake because of the transmission and everything, and his curiosity almost got them killed too. And but at least they were able to get the Romulans to listen to them before they both ended up being destroyed. But and yeah, Worf picks up Data and throws him over his shoulder. I mean, Data's not a light thing.
The heavy lifting of a
Yeah.
Klingon. All right, number one.
Well, I thought it was interesting where they, hey, we're just going to cut it off, wait a couple of seconds, and then cut it back on and to fix everything. I mean, we do that now, oh, this is not working, just shut it off and just, see if it starts working again, reboot it, so that's pretty much what they did to, you know, get rid of the virus. So I kind of laugh about that because, who has not done that? You know, computer, shut it off, register at work, shut it off, cut it back on, give it a few seconds. And actually, when I Googled this earlier, this is actually the first time that Picard actually said tea, Earl Grey hot. So this is the first time that we ever heard him say this. And we all know that saying, I mean, it's everywhere, shirts, mugs, So I thought that was interesting. That's something that I never knew. I don't know if I was searching for it, but I know when I Googled that, I thought that was interesting. So nice to see where that phrase came from. I think overall it was an okay episode. I am ready to see more. Um, I don't know, plots than this one. I don't know what the or how word to say it, but I just sometimes feel like that. Rewatching something, I definitely have a different perspective where I think that I remember when I watched it. I was a early teenager when I watched these episodes. So sometimes, rewatching it now, it's like, ooh, but then again, it's Star Trek. So, obviously I saw something in these episodes why I'm a big fan now. I mean, I'm wearing my Mirror Mirror shirt, now because I just love the Mirror Mirror universe. I can't wait till we get into those episodes. But yeah, it was okay. Seeing the Romulans up there, we already know they're treacherous, but and I don't kind of blame them for not jumping on board quickly to believe what the Enterprise, the captain said. I mean, we're not supposed to believe. You're supposed to be liars in their eyes. So I kind of figured that they wasn't just gonna jump into it like we kind of see in other races. And Picard actually leaves the bridge, which and goes down, to the planet and gets teleported over to the Romulan ship. I thought that was good because at one point he just really wouldn't leave the ship. Unlike Kirk, who was he ever on the ship? Janeway towards she had certain episodes where she left. Cisco, of course, he's on the station. So it's always interesting seeing Picard. Hey, I'm going to go down and I'm going to see what I can do. So in that aspect, I thought it was interesting.
Well, we got through two episodes that just were not on my radar. I mean, I'm just like, wow. The next two are a little bit more fun. The Royale uh, is a um,
Is that hotel thing they got stuck in?
yes, yes, yes. The hotel thing and Times Squared, which is a little trippy, but I mean, a lot better than these last two episodes. But as always, if there's any of you, crew of United, or any of you that are on the victory page, or any of you that are watching here on YouTube or on Facebook, want to join us, please feel free to reach out to me or Commander Xena, uh, and let us know, and we can get you a seat in here. We do have a few guests, special guests that are Klingon related. And when those Klingon episodes pop up, that's when I'm going to grab them and pull them in here so we can hear the sites, hear from their side of the fandom. Um, Michael Honeycutt is this guy has been in this for a while. He's ran a couple things. He knows um, the Chancellor and Bob Riley. So as you do too, Miss Liz. I see you looking. I see you looking. I see you getting ready to say something. But it's great to always do this with you guys. So I appreciate your time, and I just wish we could hurry up and get to the good episodes. But then at the same time, once we do them, they're gone, and then we don't have anything to look forward to. Um, I am looking very forward to this trip down the line as we do the Star Trek things, and then of course if any new movies or new shows come out, all except for anything that has been canceled as of late, except for Strange New Worlds. I am I'm like Spike from Buffy. I want to see it all end. I gotta see how it ends. Are they gonna put Pike in that chair? I have to see it. Um, and of course Leon. I don't know. It's just something about her. I got to get her autograph. But I want to thank you guys. We'll be back in 2 weeks. The Royale, Times Squared. See you then. And anybody have something? No. No.
No,
All
no,
right
just
then.
y'all watch Star Trek, so watch the episodes and definitely come on with us because we like to see hear different views. Calibus got different views, Miss Liz got different view. I do. There's episodes where Miss Liz is like, "Ooh, that's awesome," and I'm like, "Mm." So sometimes you kind of want that different interaction with different people. So join
Definitely.
us and watch the episodes. We appreciate it.
Live long and prosper, man.